And in terms of other difficulties sort of experienced, you talk a lot about sort of post-traumatic stress situations. And I think it's really important to touch on that when you experience something like that, tell us a little bit about, everybody talks about Tom Hanks and the crying
Yeah.
moment and was that real? And
He's
he
a
was
big
his captain.
crybaby.
But what part of that was real for you? How did that affect you?
Well, for me, that it didn't happen to me as you saw in the movie. But for me, it was 2 or 3 days later, and I would wake up at 5 in the morning, and I knew it was 5 in the morning because I was in the captain's war cabin there, and he had a digital clock, and so I'd wake up every morning at 050000, racking and crying like a little baby, much like you saw Tom Hanks. I mean, you saw that emotion, you saw him racking, and that's what I would wake up to. And I would wake up and I'd mentally yell at myself and say, "What's the matter with me? What am I, a wimp? What's wrong with me? I'm lucky to be alive." And I did start my day. And so that affected me for like the third and fourth, second, third, and fourth nights. Well, there was a seal who was there, and a lot of the snow seals. They're macho, they're smart, they are very capable. But they also have a community that I've never seen. I've gotten to see a little glimpse into their community. I don't mean just the men, the seals. I mean the widows who are as tough as the men. The widows, the wives, the kids, the children of the fallen heroes. They still are very close. There's this close bond there that goes beyond just being in the military, just being a Navy SEAL, and that's one of the biggest things that impresses me. And this one SEAL, he just kept on harassing me and saying, "Rich, you have to talk to psychiatrists. You got to talk to military intelligence." He just wouldn't let me go. So I said, "Look, I'll talk to him. Just get off my back." So I called him up and I talked to it was a psychiatrist for the SEALs, and the way he convinced me was he told me, he goes, "Rich, it doesn't always end like this for us. We aren't always successful." And it was a very it was a point that really came to me, and I agreed, and I called a
So you felt lucky
up.
to be alive, to even
Oh,
be
yeah.
able to reach out to someone.
Yes.
That kind of was your
Yeah.
turning point.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and so I talked to him. I said, "Look, Doc, I don't talk to doctors. I'm just calling you because the SEAL's bugging me." And he says, "I don't talk to crazy people." That's all right. We talked for a few minutes, and then he said, "Mind if I ask you a few questions?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, "Do you feel sorry for the pirates?" And I said, "No. Put me back in the lifeboat with our weapons. We'll see who comes out." And then he says, "You eating all right?" And I said, "No, I don't eat. It's too hot. I hate the heat. I don't eat when it's hot out. So that's normal for me." It's okay. And he says, "You sleep okay?" And I sleep like a baby. And he goes, "Do you cry?" And I go, "No, I don't cry. But I do wake up every morning at 5 in the morning." I told him what I told you. And he asked me, what did I do? And I told him what I told you. And he says, "Well, we're all wired. We got that back from the Cro-Magnon man, fighting the Mastodon, fight and flight, life and death. It's just our bodies making these chemicals, these hormones that course through the body, and they may or may not bother you." And he said, "One of the mechanisms to release these chemicals is in your tears, crying, and also just talking about it." Two things I never believed in, but I surely believe in now. And then he asked me, I think, a very good question. And he asked me, he said, "What are you going to tell your wife?" And I said, "I'm not going to tell her anything." And he said, "Well, you may want to think about that." So I did wind up telling my wife in stages the whole story, and I think it helped her also. So then I just I said, "Okay, I'm not going to call you again." We hung up, and the next morning I woke up at 050000, crying and racking like a little baby, and he told me to just let it flow, let it take its natural course. So I did, and I cried for 25, 30, maybe 35 minutes, and then it stopped. And even to this day, I still look back and laugh. My thought was, he didn't tell me what to do next. So I just started my day, and it never happened again.
Yeah.
So it's something I like to pass on to people, because I've met people who've been in the military, people who've been in 9/11. I've met people who've been kidnapped, and they say my story sort of reaches out, and a lot of things I say really connect with them. And that's just one thing I like to pass on. We got to talk to somebody, maybe not your wife, your girlfriend, your friend, but somebody who can help us. And don't worry about the crying.
Right.
Crying helps.
Yeah,
As I said, two things I never believed in.
I always say next to "I love you," "Can we talk?" are three of the most powerful words in our lexicon.
Two hard words for males.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know which one.
Right, but it's so great that you're bringing that message out there.
Yeah.
especially when you're talking to families of fallen heroes as well,
Yep.
and also the soldiers who come
The soldiers
back,
themselves.
post-traumatic stress and all of that.
Yeah.
It's really a critical conversation point.